The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
Ayo Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah, J Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back for the first time in 2020 to Wrestling Reverb. Kevin hasn't been here in a few weeks because he was away for the last episode of Reverb last year. I had Foul join in a couple of weeks ago. You're off seeing Star Wars. I've seen Star Wars. We'll get to that in a minute. But how was your Christmas, your New Year's, your break, I guess? Did you have a break from work?
No. I worked Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Oh, wow. How sad.
Yeah, but I mean, I had a good time. I got a day off in the middle there to visit some family, and I was able to hang out with some friends and do some cool stuff. And, I was able to pretty much do anything I would have done even if I had the days off of work. So, all in all, it was a good holiday break. How was yours?
Yeah, mine was good. It was just a nice rest. I mean, I still had work, not obviously on Christmas Day, but it was just a nice rest to just chill out. I had New Year's Eve and New Year's Day completely off, and I didn't even go out. I'm getting older. I must be getting old. I just sat at home.
You are an old man.
I had 2 drinks and was asleep by... I barely made it to midnight. But yeah, it was just a nice... It's weird because the holidays can either be really, really stressful or really relaxing. And I feel like this time, the days of the holidays were just nice and relaxing. So I can't really complain too much, but...
That's good. I mean, yeah, you're right. It could be a tough time for some people, but it also could be a great time to unwind and just sort of decompress.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't usually Christmas and stuff is time for seeing a lot of family. I didn't see a lot of family this year. It was just kind of my intermediate family, which was fine. It was like the off year where we don't see everybody. So I just had lunch with my mum and my sister, and I was pretty happy. So it was just a nice R&R, nothing too crazy. It's been terribly hot here. We had a very hot Christmas, and it's just been battered with hot weather. So staying inside underneath an air conditioner is really where I'm situated lately. But I mean, it is what it is. You're in wintertime over there, so
yeah, I'm curled up under a blanket right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm wearing as minimal amount of clothing as possible, and well, I know, steamy in 2020. I do have a little bit of housekeeping before we get started with this whole episode, because we have a lot to kind of cover. I do need to just quickly mention, you've probably seen it all over my Twitter at this stage to everybody listening, and you probably have as well, Kevin. I'm very much in a little bit of a weird time in this country at the moment with the amount of fires that is going on. Just for a little bit of context with everybody, because I don't think some people realize the magnitude of these bushfires that are going on in Australia. When I say Australia, I'm talking like 3/4 of the country is currently burning right now. But for a little bit of context for just overseas friends, the 2019 California fires burnt 253,214 acres. The Amazon fires over 4 countries burnt 2.24 million acres. In Australia this year, we've burnt 12.35 million acres, and these are still going. They've been going some of these fires have been going since October. A lot of them are still out of control. They're burning in 5 states. We have 7 states in this country. There's 5 that are currently on fire. The closest one to me is literally about 2 hours drive. For a little while, I could see smoke in my town, and that wasn't really, great. I mean, I'm very lucky that I'm kind of away from these, but there's pictures going around on the internet right now that I've purposely retweeted because this needs to be some kind of a worldwide emergency, because the we've lost dozens of lives, hundreds of thousands of properties. There's a lot going on. Firefighters are exhausted and they need something. I'm not really one to talk politics too much, but just for a little bit of insight on everybody, the government is really not doing a lot about it in this country. So don't worry to anybody in other countries that are like, our government is a little bit everywhere. So is Australia's, and they're really not doing a lot. So please, I'm going to put a link in the description below to the Red Cross, the St. Vincent's, and any other organizations that I find fit. If you can, this isn't, I'm not saying you must do this, but if you can spare a couple of dollars to help out with just whatever the essentials, food, water, shelter, whatever it may be, please, if you can, donate to the organizations that I put below. It'll mainly be the Red Cross and St. Vincent's that do a lot of that, and they accept worldwide donations, so it's not just Australian folk. But if you can, and of course, just if you see a post on Twitter, if you see a post on Facebook or Instagram or something, share it, because more people need to see this so more people can be helped. There's people literally in the state of Victoria they can't leave their town because it's too dangerous. All the roads are blocked off or just literally on fire. So therefore, they're actually having to take shelter on the beach because it's the only place that they can see fit because of this water. And a lot of firefighters are out fighting these fires, and sadly enough, are actually losing their homes because they're defending other people's homes. So it's a big thing. 12.35 million acres in a country that is predominantly, we have a lot of, people think we're a fairly small country because we have a lot less towns, a lot less states, but we're actually a fairly big country in terms of you know what I mean, just diameter and whatever it may be. So there's just a lot of land in this country that's being built. Like if I wanted to drive, for instance, I'm in South Australia, if I wanted to drive to another state, Western Australia, I cannot do that at the moment. They have blocked the only highway that gets into Western Australia because it is too dangerous. We're in pretty much a drought in this country at the moment. There's not a lot of places getting rain. The only rain that has been is like showers of rain that isn't going to do anything. We need rain in this country to stop these fires, and we're not getting it. And the outlook is we're not going to get too much rain until the end of February. So, and we're just getting heat wave after heat wave after heat wave everywhere in this country. So, we're truly breaking records in terms of heat. It's a pretty dangerous situation. It's a pretty scary situation. So please, again, I'm not going to speak on it too much longer because I don't want to take the whole episode up on this, but go to the description, find the links you need to find, and I'll leave it at that. And if you need any more information, just go to my Twitter because I've retweeted a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So I'll end it on that one. But and in other news, Kevin, we haven't talked about wrestling together in a couple of weeks. So it's been, I mean, this week alone has been pretty crazy. And also we've got Wrestle Kingdom coming up, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Kevin's going to kind of take the reins on that one, as I'm a little bit unfamiliar with New Japan. But Kevin will take the reins on that one in a minute. But we have been waiting to talk about this. Other than that, I haven't really talked about this too much on Twitter because I was waiting for this moment to talk about it. But there was a wedding that happened on Raw this week between Lana and Bobby Lashley. Now, we have spoken so much about how we feel about this Lana Rusev Lashley story. I believe that it is working. If you just, we'll talk about the numbers and that in a second, but we've talked about that a lot. Now, going into this, I'm a sucker for a wrestling wedding. How do you feel about, before we talk about this wedding in particular, how do you feel about wrestling weddings in general?
Oh, they're always entertaining. You kind of know the formula by now. It's pretty much the same, at least the basic idea. every time where it's never gonna end well, and certainly that we saw that on Monday. But I'm like you. I'm a sucker for a good wrestling wedding. There's been some classics over the years, and I'm still buzzing from this one. Honest to God, I was able to get home just in time to watch it from work. I got home at like 10:30 my time. Caught the end of Andrade and Ricochet.
Yeah, Ricochet.
Okay, yeah, that shows you. I don't even remember that because the wedding just completely absorbed it in my mind.
It was a wild. We've seen lots of weddings before. Triple H and Stephanie, Stephanie and Test, Kane and Lita. That was always one that always stuck out in my brain just for so many reasons. AJ Lee and Daniel Bryan, and I was like,
one that sticks out for me just because I remember it was one of the first ones I saw live was Teddy Long and Crystal, where Teddy Long had a heart attack.
Oh my God, I forgot about that one.
And the Godfather came out and stuff. That was that's a classic.
Wrestling weddings are just crazy in every sense of the word, and I mean that in a very good way. That's kind of like my favorite side of wrestling is when it's just like really over the top, and that's what a wrestling wedding is. I mean, going into this one, I was excited. Everyone that follows me on Twitter knew that I was excited to see this, and I've been a proponent of this storyline for the last month or so because I just think it really is like wacky pro wrestling, and I really like it. Also, that you can kind of tell that Lana, Lashley, and Rusev are having a lot of fun with it. You can see the way they, especially Rusev and Lana, they're being extra over the top. Lashley's kind of like, he has the personality of a bag of bricks, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but the other two are really having a lot of fun with it. But going into it, my expectations were pretty high because I was just expecting nuttiness, and that's really what we got. So let me break this down a little bit. It's so weird to say this. Like, you're going to be breaking down Wrestle Kingdom 14 soon, and I'm breaking down a wrestling wedding, and it's just like two very opposite ends of wrestling, but still wrestling. It's
all the same. It's all pro wrestling, though. Yeah, that's how diverse the sport is.
Yeah. So let me break this down. We had, first and foremost, the funniest thing to me was that there was chairs at the end of this, at this beginning of the stage, at the beginning of the ramp, and there was no one sitting in them. Like
they expected a big crowd of the WWE superstars in the back, and just no one showed up, and that is funny.
So Lashley, of course, came out first. His music, by the way, which I thought was a nice touch, in a sleeveless tux. I mean, it's a good look. You got to be a certain kind of you got to have a certain kind of look to pull that off, but Lashley did it fine. And then Lana came out. I don't know why, but I was like, why isn't she coming out to her music? I don't know why, but I was like, what the fuck? But she came out. They got this wedding started. As soon as it started, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be rough. There was lots of Rusev Day chants, and there was a lot of booing. As you would boo these two heels. Arguably, Lana, especially Lana, but Lana and Lashley are probably the two biggest heels in the company at the moment, with maybe the exception of Baron Corbin. But I would debate that. What do you think?
I'd probably give. Oh Jesus, it's tough. Oh man, I think that Lana rivals Corbin right now.
Lana,
because Lana has been so. And I posed this question, or not really a question, but this theory online that like Lana's promos have been purposely just so bad.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I have to imagine she's doing because she's a good talker. We've seen that in the past.
She's a trained actress.
Yeah.
So
you gotta imagine she's being over the top for the sake of being over the top because that's what the segment calls for. Yeah. And I think she's doing it perfectly.
Me too. I
would say she rivals Corbin in terms of heat right now. Yeah. Lashley, I don't think Lashley really gets heat. I think he's just a black hole.
I feel like Lashley gets heat by association.
Yeah, that's fair.
By the association of Lana. So
when Leo Rush got the heat, Lana gets the heat.
Yeah, Lana's very good at generating heat. Anyway, it just started and I was like, oh man, I'm in love with this already. Like, I'm already just loving every minute of it. They're going away. And I just love how Lana's like, the greatest thing that happened in your life, Lashley, is me. And like, I'm the best thing ever. And I'm so beautiful and all of this. I just think it's perfect. Like, everything that she's saying is like perfect. It's like, well, to an obvious extent, she's not really even in love with Lashley. She just loves herself. And she obviously just wants to get back at Rusev and whatever. That's where this story is kind of going. Because I say going because I don't think this story is even close to being finished. I think they can stretch this to Mania because it does big numbers, which we'll talk about in a minute with the numbers. But it generates a lot of buzz. Like, when was the last time after a Raw that people were talking about it, for better or for worse, for that long? Because people had opinions on it. There was no in-between on this segment. Like, I noticed after this segment was done, there was people that hated it or people that loved it. I didn't really see a lot of people in the middle. But
there was no middle.
No, there was no middle. It was love or hate. I'll talk about my opinion on it in a minute. I think everyone knows where I'm going. But there was scandals, of course, Kev. Big scandals had happened. Drama was at this wedding. First and foremost, we seen a man come out, interrupt, and we're like, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this? It was Lana's first husband. And he was like, blah, blah. And I didn't even... honestly, in the context of things, it doesn't even make sense why they would come out. Like, okay, that's her ex-husband. Cool. But he came out. Then we had Lashley's ex-wife came out. Lana ended up slapping her, Bobby Lashley. He beat up the dude, didn't he?
Yeah, he hit him with a nice little choke slam.
Yeah, it was nice that her first husband could also take bumps as well, which I found just handy, just in case this situation.
Oh yeah, it's always great when these these people from the past come out and they could take bumps kind of out of nowhere. Always great.
I mean, it's just a very natural thing to do. And then the ex-wife came out, and we were kind of like, they were going back and forth. Lana was like, everyone's ruining this wedding. Like, let's just have. They were saying vows that was not making a ton of sense. She was staying stick to the script and stuff like that. They were making out for the longest time too. They really get in there when they make out. Just it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And the funniest part was that when Lana came back up for air, you could see some of the makeup from Lashley just all over her face.
It was like the epitome of this segment. I was like, oh my god. I was crying laughing at it because I'm like, it happened and then she backed away and I'm like, is my TV just like, I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, oh my god, there's makeup on it. It was like the perfect strip right down the middle of her face, and you can see Lashley like conveying to his forehead, like, wipe your forehead, wipe your chin, and she just was not. She was like, I don't know what that means. Oh, it was
again,
just like
another example. If Lana, you could. There's two schools of thought. One, that she genuinely didn't know she had makeup on her face, and two, she was like, this is perfect. And I think that's where she was leaning. I think she knew exactly what she was doing.
Regardless of whether she knew or not, it was hilarious. Whether it was intentional or not, it was hilarious. The stuff she was posting on Twitter too, saying that she's like, I've always looked up to Simba. I was like, oh my god. But it was just like that happening. It's like, of course that's happening. Like, it's just, this whole story has been so fucking weird and wonderful and some would say crap. I don't think it's been crap. It's just been very pro wrestling, very over the top, which is my favorite part of wrestling, is this kind of stuff. Anyway, then we hear a familiar voice. And this is where shit really gets fucking wild. Like, we went from scandal to, like, capital letter scandal. Like, it was the re-emergence. We've seen, for weeks and weeks and weeks, we've seen these promos of a makeover of a certain person. We hear this voice, and out walks Liv Morgan. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's the first thing. Before she even got into what she was talking about, I was like, oh goodness. Liv Morgan is involved in this now. before she even said what she said, Kev, I already know the answer, but were you surprised to see Liv Morgan?
Just a little bit, yeah, a little
I think
surprised
it was the last
because
person I was expecting.
yeah, she was literally like they could have brought out literally anybody else from the back, past or present, and I would have been like, oh, okay, well, I get it. Liv Morgan came out, and like I'm pretty sure I didn't watch the first like 2.5 hours, but I'm pretty sure they had a promo for her on that show.
They did. I was like, cool, Liv Morgan, because everyone's listen. Okay, before. A lot of people were excited for Liv. People have also created this narrative online, which they only have themselves to blame, is that Liv was a part of... she was Sister Abigail, or she was a part of the Firefly Funhouse, or something. And honestly, anyone that thought that and then didn't get what they wanted can shut the fuck up, in my opinion, because they created that narrative, and that just really gets on my nerves, is when people are like, WWE aren't giving us what they want. It's like... WWE never said that was happening. There was never a thing that they said, so therefore they're doing nothing wrong. They're just progressing with a different story, because I don't think that was ever a thing that was going to happen, and quite frankly, I had no interest in it. Liv being a part of that world, I just didn't. I'm not saying she couldn't do
I didn't think it was a fit for her, really. I don't see her being like that dark character.
Yeah. But anyway, that's all I'll say on that. Then when she started to get into the sentence and started to speak what she was saying and saying that she was in love, and she wasn't saying the name, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
She ain't in love with Lashley here. And then, of course, she says that she's in love with Lana. And now a lot of people were a little bit salty on this. I personally...
This is where the internet's collective head blew off of its shoulders.
I think this is where people started from, this is just silly pro wrestling, to I hate this segment, or some people loved it. I'm still on the love it side, because I think having Liv do that, saying that she's in love with Lana, I understand that she is... Well, I don't know Liv Morgan personally, but I think it's pretty common knowledge that she's... I hate labels. She's straight. I've talked about labels in the past, how I don't think they even matter. But I think having someone do this and it just being a part of a story normalizes it a little bit. It should be normal that a woman can fall in love with a woman, or a man with a man, whatever. So I had no problem with it at all. I don't know how your feelings are towards it. I understand this argument, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it normalizes it a little bit, because a lot of people were angry that it wasn't Sonya, and it's like, why? Because Sonya in her real life is gay, why does she have to play a gay character? Or even if she is, I think it's pretty open on television that she is gay, but I don't know. How do you feel about the situation?
That's the thing. I don't think they're like keeping it a secret by any. I mean, anyone who watches Total Divas knows. Anyone who basically has seen her come out in the rainbow-inspired LGBTQ gear knows. It's not a secret. She doesn't have to be pigeonholed into playing a character based on her sexual orientation.
No, I agree with you there. But regardless of what people think about it, instant thing was when she said, I'm in love with Lana, or it's you, Lana, whatever the words were, the crowd went nuts. And that's where the crowd really were hanging on this segment for every single moment after. There was a little bit of, like, hesitation from Lana, and then the slap and the brawl, as you would at a wedding, and then Rusev came out from the cake, and then all hell broke loose. I think it was a fantastic
segment. The only part
segment
of this segment that people knew was going to happen, Rusev popped out of the cake.
Anytime there's a big giant cake in the ring, A, someone's popping out of it, or B, someone's going into it. In this situation, we got both. Now, here's the thing. This is when Twitter erupted for hours and hours after this segment. I personally loved it. I've watched this segment multiple times this week and have loved it every other time since. I've shown other people this segment that watch wrestling. I've shown them and they all loved it. No one really seemed to have a problem with it. Is it a majority that hate it? Is it a minority that hate it? It's hard to really tell, because I feel like our Twitter feeds, well, at least from my point of view, it was like 50-50. Like, tweet after tweet, it was one person hated it, one person loved it, one person hated it. And it was all pretty much, they hated it for the same reason, they loved it for the same reason. There was really no, like, diversity in terms of reasons they loved it or reasons they hated it. It seemed to be, they hated the fact that it was, that a gay character, if you will, was done for shock and awe, and was done, and it doesn't really help. It doesn't have good representation of that community. And the people that loved it pretty much thought what we are saying, that it's just pro wrestling turned up to 100. That's just pro wrestling in its finest form to me. That's very Attitude Era-esque, by the way.
Yeah. You had a little bit of everything that encapsulated the Attitude Era. And then you have people that are like, I want the Attitude Era back until we get it. And then it's like, oh, I don't want the Attitude Era back anymore. I've seen a couple different things. I'd say, you say 50-50. I'd say it's probably like 75-25 hate in my feed. A lot of people hated it, like you said, because it's they feel like they use the lesbian angle for shock and awe. Which, as much as I don't agree, I'll give you that theory. I'll let you have that because, you know,
I get that. Yeah, I get.
It's digestible.
Yeah,
I don't believe it. I think that I think this makes everyone involved infinitely more interesting. B, I think it's important to have LGBT representation on TV. Would it have been nice to see Sonya in that role? Yeah, sure, but I think Liv Morgan might actually be better suited for it, and Sonya Deville's on SmackDown, so.
Yeah, and it's like, people are like, Liv is a straight person playing a gay character. It's like, okay, I've watched many movies, or I've not even just watched them, I know about many movies that are straight people playing gay people, and it's things like, okay, so Brokeback Mountain was huge in its time. Those two dudes are straight, if you want to put labels on anything. And that, you know, people don't really seem to have too much of a problem with that. But wrestling's weird. Wrestling is like, everyone knows that it's a television show, but then some people are like, no, it can't be like that because it's real life. It's like, but it's not real life. These people are all playing characters. Liv's just playing a character. Just because her sexual orientation in her real life doesn't match up to her character means nothing. She is a person in a community now, especially with people our age. Liv Morgan is younger than us, older than us. She's around our age.
She's like our age.
We are very aware of our surroundings. I feel like there's still exceptions to the rule, but I feel like our generation is very accepting of all kinds of people. For a lot of the things. So we kind of are very aware of what's going on. Like, and regardless, what is a quote-unquote gay character? Isn't it just a person? People want to normalize things. It's just Liv happened to fall in love with Lana. It doesn't change who she is as a person. It doesn't change her personality.
Exactly.
And we don't know where this is going either. This could all be just a big setup by Rusev. It really could be, just to get under the skin of Lana and Lashley. They could drop it next week. You really don't know, especially with WWE programming.
Yeah, they drop things at the drop of a hat. But I did want to, just to your point there, wanted to throw this out there. If you're playing a gay character and your defining characteristic of that character is that they're gay, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I completely understand and completely agree. I just, hey, people are going to have opinions on it, but I guess that's what makes this world kind of keep turning in a way. It's just, we're not all going to agree on some things. But regardless, if you look on WWE's YouTube and WWE's social platforms, it's hot. This angle is hot. It's doing like gigantic numbers. I'm just trying to look up right now the actual amount of viewers that this has. So the video on WWE's YouTube is 4.1 million views in 2 days. Which is huge. I mean, for comparison, let me go onto WWE's YouTube page here so we can have a look about just, to see some other things. videos. I'm on my phone at the moment, guys. Sorry. So let's see some videos from Raw and see what other numbers are kind of going on here. So, the Lana, they had like a .com exclusive that got 3 million views with Lana. For reference, the Ricochet Andrade match got 385,000 views. The Becky Lynch promo got 192,000 views. The closest thing to it was the Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe brawl with Rollins and AOP. That got 904,000 views. So this is doing a big number for WWE. So don't expect this storyline to go anytime soon. I couldn't imagine it going anywhere anytime soon. And I think the inclusion of Liv Morgan and adding more of it, because I would assume that we're getting some kind of mixed tag match out of this. I would think.
Yeah, probably.
Which, hey, at the end of the day, people always want more wrestling, and people have clamored for Liv Morgan to be wrestling for quite a while. Well, for months, ever since she was broken up from the Riot Squad, drafted to SmackDown, then drafted back to Raw. She had one match in there with Charlotte Flair and said, when I come back, it'll be the real Liv Morgan that comes back. Which is weird to think about 6 or 7 months ago and in the spot she's in now, and the real Liv Morgan, I guess, is here, the makeover of Liv Morgan or whatever. People clamored for her to wrestle more. I'm happy to see Liv Morgan wrestle. I think she's uncharted territory to me. I think she has potential, but I don't know. It's sink or swim now, though. You're in WWE's, as much as people don't want to admit this is WWE's biggest storyline, at least in terms of viewership. It has the most eyes on it. I think the wedding did bigger numbers for Raw than it has in 3 or 4 months. So, and there was an overrun on Raw, which we do not get anymore. So obviously WWE had bought more time from USA Network to get an overrun, because they knew this would draw big numbers. They're not stupid in this case, because it is. It's very Paul Heyman. We said that from the start. This storyline is very Paul Heyman-esque. It has Heyman written all over it, but at the same time, it has Vince written all over it. This is a very top-tier storyline. So it's sink or swim for someone like Liv. Rusev is over as anything at the moment. Lana's really hated. By association, Lashley's really hated. And I think you just got a recipe for success, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just
this whole thing has just been a roller coaster. I think that represents the best of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
You want the twists and turns, the ups and downs. You want all the drama. You want all the tension. This storyline has taken everything that's good about pro wrestling outside of the ring, ratcheted it up to 100, and just let it loose on the WWE universe. And obviously not everyone's going to love it. Obviously a lot of people are going to hate it because it's the day and age we live in. But damned if it doesn't do numbers. And isn't that the end of the day? Isn't that what we want? Obviously some people are enjoying, whether you like it or not, you're tuning in. Mm-hmm. Clearly you are if these YouTube videos are doing 4 million views.
Yeah. A lot of people are watching this for whatever reason they want to, whether it's just to shit on it, whether it's to like it, whether it's to whatever, whether it's just to see it. I think more people are going to be watching this because even if you don't agree with this whole Liv Morgan thing, everyone's going to watch next week to be like, well, what is she going to say? Or not even just watch next week. People are going to watch on YouTube. People are going to watch on WWE's Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're kind of watching it. People are going to view these videos and these segments. And in 5 years' time, I'm not going to remember any match that Rusev and Lashley have had or are having, or this. I'm not going to remember any of that. I'm going to remember the wedding. I'm going to remember Lana and Lashley first kissing. I'm going to remember Rusev being arrested. That's what I'm going to remember. That's really all I need to remember because it's stuck in my brain now. I'm never going to forget that wedding. Whether people like it or not, they're going to remember that wedding. It's just pro wrestling at its finest to me. It's being done very pro wrestling. I'm using pro wrestling as an adjective here because it's very pro wrestling. But yeah, just a crazy segment that just give me more of it. I like that kind of that over the topness, so I'm down for whatever. If we get some kind of mixed tag out of this, cool, whatever.
The thing is, they have to work to top this now.
Yeah, I don't know if this has peaked. It's hard to think that you can...
Obviously, there are peaks and valleys and stories, ebbs and flows, but if you're going to keep it going, you got to work to keep on this level. And I, for one, am ecstatic that we're getting more of this that we should be getting more of this. Again, WWE drops stuff pretty quickly.
Yep.
I think they've invested way too much to drop this, though, obviously.
Yeah, I think they would have done it by now if they were going to drop it.
Yeah, exactly. It's been months. If they're going to drop it, they would have dropped it by now. I'm excited to see where this goes. I am super psyched to see. I want them to stretch it to Mania. I want there to be a huge blow-off match at WrestleMania.
Do you think they can stretch it to Mania? Do you think the interest will still be there by Mania? I think if they keep up this over-the-topness, and this kind of, lack of a better term, train wreck of a storyline, because it is a train wreck. Not all train wrecks are bad to look at. Some of them are really fun to look at. That's why I watch reality TV, is because it's a train wreck, because it's fun to watch. And that's what kind of is piquing my interest for this, is that train wreck mentality. It's just a lot of fun. On the other end of things, we do need to talk about, well, you'll kind of more talk about this than I will. Wrestle Kingdom, 2-day event. It's going to be fairly big. It's New Japan's WrestleMania, if you will, for anyone that is just a WWE fan and hasn't watched New Japan. If you're going to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling at any time of the year, Wrestle Kingdom is the time to do it. It's a 2-day event, and then New Year's Dash is on the day after. So it's 3 days of just a lot of wrestling. This is the only time... Well, I watch New Japan sparingly throughout the year. Of course, I keep tabs on it. I kind of know what's going on. But this is the one time of the year where I'm like, I'm definitely going to watch this. I can't watch it live this year because I am at work, but I can watch it later in the night when I finish, because it is on at like 6 p.m. or something my time. So, which is weird to watch wrestling live at that time for me because I'm used to watching it at 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, this is like the tables are turned here, where you can watch this at a relatively normal time, whereas I am waking. Well, I'm not going to sleep, I guess. Night 1 starts at 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Ooh. Night 2 starts at midnight, a little bit better. But this is that one time of year where I just pull out all the stops to get my snacks, my sodas, get together with 1 or 2 friends, hopefully. If not, I mean, it's the last 3 years I've watched Wrestle Kingdom. I've been with people, which I think is important, because if I have to stay up by myself for like the 3 or 4, I don't know how long each night's going to be, but 4 hours by myself,
tough, yeah,
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. But Wrestle Kingdom is always very good. Last year's was really good. The year before that was really, really good. I've been watching for the last 3 Wrestle Kingdoms, so this will be my 4th when I watch this one, I think. Maybe this will be my 3rd. Not sure.
Did you watch 11? Did you watch Omega Okada the first time?
No, so I've watched the last 2.
Imagine that. Like, that was my first New Japan show, and I got to watch...
Jericho brought me in. Jericho was the one that brought me in.
Yeah, so the Wrestle Kingdom 12. Jericho Omega was a fantastic match.
Yeah, Jericho was the one. When I seen him, I was like, well, I love Chris Jericho. I'm going to follow what he does, which is really weird now because he's on television on a different network every week and I don't watch it, which is weird. But he brought me into New Japan, and he was the one that kind of got me there, and he got me to order New Japan World. He got me to... That's what made it. It does work. It does work, contrary to what people believe. It does bring more eyes in, and it got me there, and it kept me there for at least Wrestle Kingdoms the next year, and this year. I'm excited to watch it. Kevin's going to run down the card for the next 10 minutes or so, just to kind of give us a little, quick little update of where we are, and then we'll move on to some other things. But I do want to dedicate some time to let Kevin go for the heels in this one. Take it away, Kev.
No, okay. I've been waiting for this for a long time. This is the best show of the year. Just so super excited, and this is like the first year where I've really been following New Japan the whole way. Whereas, the years prior, and I'll say Jericho definitely had a part in that too, because I watched Wrestle Kingdom 11 with my friends as sort of like let's see if we could stay up all night and watch this crazy Japanese wrestling. And then when Jericho got involved, I was like, oh wow, okay, let's follow this. And Jericho's still involved, and we'll get to that in a minute. We'll break down the card. There's some matches that I'm not even gonna talk about. I'll list them, but some of them aren't as important. But I want to take a minute and talk about the dark match for night one, which is a Stardom match. Mayu Iwatani and Arisa Hoshiki versus Julia and Hana Kimura. And while I'm not certain about these competitors, I don't watch Stardom. #watch Stardom. But I know that I have tons of friends in the wrestling community that do and that swear by it and say it's amazing. Shout out JPQ. And I was actually looking forward to watching this match because I want to get into Stardom in the new year. But unfortunately, it's a dark match. It's not going to be available on New Japan World. So, looks like I'll have to find another way into Stardom. But it is crazy to think that they're getting a match on the New Japan's biggest show of the year. You never would have saw that, but with Bushiroad acquiring Stardom, you're going to start to see this more and more, I think, where you're going to start to see Stardom matches popping up on the Dominions and the Wrestle Kingdoms of the world. And soon enough, I think I don't know about a merger because Stardom's doing so well on their own, but you might get to see more female involvement in New Japan. That's probably the biggest knock on New Japan is that there's no women's division, and that's a very viable knock.
That's a very big reason why I don't think I'm as interested in it as because of that, because that's kind of what I like the most about wrestling. I don't think it's really weird, sorry to digress, but if women weren't in the spot they're in now in a mainstream capacity, I don't think I'd still be watching wrestling, which is weird.
No, it's fair though. I mean, at some point, you have to.
It's the same over and over again. It'd just be like, I'd be like, there's nothing retaining my interest, especially this year. We've had a lot of good wrestling. Don't get me wrong, but especially WWE's product went through a big slump this year, but the shining stars of those things were things like Becky and Bayley and the NXT women's division and stuff like that. And
the women carried the year. Not just in WWE. Look at Tessa Blanchard.
Tessa and stuff like that. Seeing stuff like that is retained my interest over the last few years. But anyway, sorry to butt in.
It's okay, you're allowed to butt in. So that's the dark match of the night, the Stardom special match. Then you have a couple tag matches. I'll just rattle off some names here. On the pre-show, you have Tomoaki Hanma and Togi Makabe, Yuya Uemura and Yota Tsuji versus. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing these names right because a lot of these guys on these pre-show matches I've never heard of. Versus Toa Hanare, and then a couple of the young lions from the LA Dojo, Alex Coughlin, Clark Connors, and Carl Fredericks. Whatever, should be fun. The other pre-show match is Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima versus Yuji Nagata and Manabu Nakanishi. Don't care about that one. The first match on the card, according to Wikipedia, I'm not sure if this is the exact order, but this is the first match worth talking about. It's Jushin Thunder Liger's one of his retirement matches. He's teaming with Tatsumi Fujinami, the Great Sasuke, and Tiger Mask versus Naoki Sano, Shinjiro Otani, Tatsuhito Takiyawa, and Ryusuke Taguchi. And, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Liger a little bit because of his impact on the business.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that they could have done a little bit better with his retirement series here. He's got this match on night one. He's got a tag match on night two, which should be a little bit better. I think there's less old people involved. But I feel like they could have done better with Liger's last couple of matches. I feel like this would be a prime spot for him to have a special singles match or something. Not necessarily, he doesn't have to fight for the junior heavyweight title or anything. But, a match with, he had a great match with Minoru Suzuki back a couple months ago that should have been saved for this show. They could have kept that feud going for this show. There's plenty of juniors not on the card that Liger could go out and have great matches with, in addition to guys like Suzuki. But anyway, Liger. What do you think of Liger?
Well, I remember watching. So when I first started watching wrestling, as everyone knows, WCW was gone. But when I started to get into WCW, he was kind of at the forefront. Well, not the forefront. He was within the cruiserweight division, and that's where I first kind of got my exposure to Liger. And then, as you get older, you start watching more other wrestling. and Liger was always one to pop up. And then kind of, I mean, I seen him at TakeOver, of course, against Tyler Breeze, and that was crazy to see. Just with his history and him someone being on Nitro, fighting Tyler Breeze, and then I haven't really seen too much from him in the last few years, and then when he announced that he was going to retire, that's when I kind of was like, holy crap. But yeah, that was my kind of, he's a legend, if for lack of a better term, just a legend. He's bigger than a legend at this point, but he's very much a worldwide name in wrestling. Well, sorry guys, we had some internet issues there. We were talking about Liger and his impact, and I was just saying how much of a legend he was. Kevin's internet unfortunately dropped out, but it's okay. Kevin, we're back. Technical difficulties happen. Isn't the internet a wonderful thing?
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, my apologies. My internet should be apologizing, not me. So my Wi-Fi apologizes to all of you. But yeah, just to touch on Liger for a minute here. My first exposure to Liger was NXT, that match with Tyler Breeze. Obviously, I knew of him, but I had never watched a match of his until then. And I knew how old he was, and I was like, I honestly didn't have high hopes for that match because I was like, oh, it's more of a novelty than anything. But damn, Liger could still go. And he's shown that over the last couple of years in New Japan, that he could still go. He still had some great showings against guys like, Marty Scurll and Hiromu Takahashi, Will Ospreay. The whole junior division, basically. So I wish I was able to see one more of those classic matches before he goes out the door. It looks like we're settling for tag action, but I do think that's what he wanted. I think this is how he wanted to go out, so I can't knock it too much.
Yeah, you can't. What else have we got on the Wrestle Kingdom cards?
Right.
Cards? Would you say cards? Because it's multiple days?
I guess cards, yeah, it's 2 nights. And just to touch on it, I actually don't like 2 nights. I want 1 night.
Me either. I'd rather a really long show.
Yes, I'd rather one crazy ass 6-7 hour night than 2 nights of
Especially
where I
when
feel
you're
like
getting up, or you're staying up until that time of the morning.
Yeah,
you'd rather just stay up in one night and then sleep the next day.
Yeah, I do this shit 2 nights in a row. Anyway, back to the card. There's 2 matches here. 2 special 8-man tag matches that aren't really that important in the grand scheme of things, but it's faction warfare. You have LIJ, Los Ingobernables de Japón, with Evil, Sonata, Shingo, and Bushi, taking on Suzuki-gun, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., El Desperado. That should be a fun match. The main storyline there is that on night 2, Shingo's taking on Suzuki, and Sonata's taking on Zack Sabre Jr., so you'll have to see those 2 clash. The other guys are just sort of there. And then the other one is Chaos versus Bullet Club. It's Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, and Yoshihashi taking on Fale, Chase Owens, Kenta, and Yujiro Takahashi. The main storyline there being Goto and Kenta. We'll get to see them score off before their Night 2 match for the Never Openweight title. And now we get into some of the title matches, some of the more important matches of Night 1. First one up off the list for the IWGP Tag Team Championship, the most ghostly championship in all of wrestling, because I don't even know, I barely knew where it was for this entire year. The Gorillas of Destiny, Tongaloa, Tamatanga, your champions, taking on the team of Juice Robinson and David Finlay for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. FinJuice, as they're called. They won the World Tag League. They'll be taking on the Gorillas of Destiny. Again, like I said, the tag team division in New Japan is so bad. I know, New Japan's got this almost this holier-than-thou look to it, where everyone worships everything they do. Their tag team division is so bad.
Rough.
These are the only 2 tag teams they have in the heavyweight division, at least.
Damn.
Everything else is just cobbled together. Juice and David Finlay have been tagging together for these World Tag Leagues before, but it's not like they compete together year in and year out, on a yearly basis as a tag team. They're sort of cobbled together in their own way. That said, I think they'll win the match because they love changing titles at New Japan shows, or at Wrestle Kingdoms, basically. So I do see a title change here. Yeah. Nothing against the Girls' Destiny. I'm not a huge fan of them. They don't really do it for me in the ring, but they've been champions for like almost a whole year, and they are like 5 or 6 time IWGP Tag Team titles. One of the greatest heavyweight tag teams in New Japan's history. And it's crazy to think that Tonga Loa was once Camacho on WWE.
Yeah, I remember Camacho.
Camacho. Next up, this one is one that I don't know if I'm excited for, but I know a lot of people are, so I'll talk about it. Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley in a good old Texas death match for the IWGP United States Championship. Now, the rules are this match can only be won by a 10-count knockout, think last man standing match, or by a submission, which plays right into Lance Archer's hands because his finisher is sort of like a hybrid submission pin. It's called the EBD claw, where he basically claws your head like the vice grip, like Khali's vice grip. And basically knocks you out and pins you. But he could definitely use it as a submission for a knockout. Now, I have been on the record on this show as saying that I don't care about Jon Moxley.
You have.
I am much more excited to see Lance Archer here. If anyone has enjoyed a renaissance like 2019, it's Everybody Dies Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk. He had a great G1. He's your United States champion. He's never held singles gold in the New Japan before, and he's been there for a long time, like 8 years or so since he was in WWE for a while.
Yeah,
as Vance Archer, I believe he was. I don't even remember.
Yeah, he was.
He never made an impact on me in WWE. He had a huge impact in New Japan. In the tag team division with Davey Boy Smith Jr. Now that Davey Boy Smith has departed from Major League Wrestling, you have Lance Archer competing in singles. He, again, like I mentioned, the G1, he had a terrific showing, had some great matches with the likes of Ospreay and Okada. And I think he retains the belt. I do think he retains the belt because the winner of this match will go on to face Juice Robinson on night 2. And I'd much rather see Lance and Juice than Moxley and Juice. I don't like Jon Moxley.
Yeah, you're not a fan. You're not a fan. So here's... Okay, so this is going to make people really probably not like me. But I didn't even know Jon Moxley was wrestling on this card until Renee Young tweeted that she's in Japan. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I did some back search from that, and I was like, okay, that's why she's in Japan, because Jon is wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, he was the United States champion for a long time. He had to vacate the title due to travel issues, which is how Lance managed to win it. He beat Juice Robinson in a no DQ match at King of Pro Wrestling, maybe one of those like September-October shows. And this should be a good one though. Texas Deathmatch does favor both these men. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be a drag-out, knockdown brawl. I think Lance Archer retains, but I am not sure if I'm really... I think compared to others who are probably touting this as one of the matches of the night, I'm looking at the next 3 matches on the card for night 1 and thinking they're all going to be like light years better.
That's fair. I really have no opinion on it because I found out about it yesterday. So...
There you go. We have junior heavyweight action. Will Ospreay taking on Hiromu Takahashi for the junior heavyweight title.
Okay, so let me just... I need to talk about Will Ospreay and blinking here. So his Instagram story is his Instagram stories in general I just love because Will Ospreay is just kind of a dum-dum and I really like that. Like, I'm really into it. So, like, I watch his Instagram stories a lot. As a lot of us do, we watch a lot of people's Instagram stories for not really that much of a, really important reason other than just to really just waste some time. That's what I do on Instagram. Anyway, he's trying to blink at 6 seconds with this little app thing that you do, and you got this timer, and at 6 you have to blink. It's fucking hard. I tried it yesterday, and I can't do it, so I just gave up. But Will's been at it for days. Like, this whole week, he's just been trying to blink. And he just cannot get it at 6 seconds. Like, he gets close, but he cannot get it. And just watching him get frustrated is honestly the formula of why I want him to win at Wrestle Kingdom. So. Okay.
So that's what I like. I like that you could take these arbitrary things and parlay them into why you want someone to win at Wrestle Kingdom.
Absolutely.
I, on the other hand, am rooting for Hiromu because, and I don't know, If I had to take a guess, I'd say you've probably seen clips of his injury from last year.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's tough to watch. I watched it live and was just like sickened. He takes a nasty neck bump in a match against Dragon Lee. Finished the match to his credit, but then was out for a number of months, even over a year. And he's having his return. Technically, he's already had his return match, which is so stupid. He wrestled on the Road to Tokyo Dome shows. Actually got pinned one night. I hate that.
Okay, guys, we're having some more technical difficulties with Kevin and his internet. It is like Kevin versus his internet at the moment. So let me keep this show rolling because I'm still recording, as you can hear. We will get back to Kevin in a minute, but obviously there's just some internet issues on his end that we cannot fix. But Wrestle Kingdom is coming up. I'll see if I can get Kevin back into this call. Let me see. I'm just calling back Kev. Sorry, everybody. This I probably won't edit this little bit out just because I'm talking. But let me call back Kev and get him back on the call. Okay. Yeah, guys, so internet issues happen. I'll keep this little bit in just so you can hear our struggle, because why not? It's real life. That's what this is all about. Welcome to 2020, I guess is what I'm what I'm trying to say here. Let me just get Kev. Let me call him up. He's going to do the rest off of his phone, so it doesn't, okay. Let me call up Kev. You'll hear me dialing, even. Kevin is back. I'm still recording, Kev. I just was like, hey, I'll whet the appetites of people while we wait for Kev, just in case your internet was going to shit it again. But it obviously just doesn't want you to talk about Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, it's killing me, man.
Kevin's on his phone, by the way, now, guys, so if he sounds a little bit different, it's just because he's talking into his phone mic.
Yeah, I'm on my phone now. We've resorted to using the best of our technology here. So,
I just was
I don't know what the hell's going on.
I just was saying while you were gone, I was like, well, welcome to 2020. We've never had that happen, by the way, in nearly a year of recording together. That's never happened.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted that it happened because my internet's usually pretty reliable.
I mean, anyway, it's not a big deal. I kept the show going while you were gone. I can't tell you exactly what you were talking about, but where were you at?
So I was talking about Will Ospreay and how he's had an undeniably good 2019, but I think 2020 is the year where he jumps to the heavyweight division, and I think that starts here. I think he loses the belt in a great match.
Cool. All right, let's keep moving on, because now we've taken up a little bit.
Yeah, now
of
we're racing against the clock. I don't know what the hell's going on. We'll talk about the next two matches together, because it's the round, sort of round one, so to speak, of the Double Gold Dash, where you have Jay White taking on Tetsuya Naito, and Kazuchika Okada taking on Kota Ibushi. And both these matches are going to kick ass. And I think that Naito is going to win his, and Okada is going to win his. And I think we're going to see those two square off on night two. That's really all I had to say on that. It's going to be two great matches.
Yeah, well, It's hard for me to just take a guess because I'm so unfamiliar with all these people, which is, it's good and it's bad. It's bad in the sense of I don't really know. Obviously, I know who Okada is and I know who other people are. I know who they are. But it's a different kind of viewing. I'm just viewing it for I have no expectation of too many people. I don't really play favorites into. I have people that I'm like, I know who you are, I kind of like you or I dislike you, but I'm not really playing favorites on too many things. I'm just kind of watching it, which is refreshing in wrestling because sometimes even I, who watches wrestling a little bit differently with a bit more of like a casual viewing, I still play favorites and I'm like, I like this person, I don't like this person. I'm just watching it to watch some good wrestling. That's really my main goal is for Wrestle Kingdom, which I always get fulfilled on.
Yeah, dude, it honestly is refreshing and that's how I feel. Well, that's how I felt in the past. This year I have rooting interests. My guy Tetsuya Naito's got to walk out with both the belts, or else I'm gonna cry. But and Hiromu as well. I hope he walks out with the belt. But it is refreshing to be able to watch it and not have like things at stake.
Yeah.
To not really, because you don't get hurt that way. Wrestling is good. Wrestling can hurt.
Oh, fuck yeah, it can. It can fucking gut, like, right in the gut. Like, it kicks
gut
you
like
balls.
a fucking fish.
Yeah, it's
And-
intense.
Yeah. So we'll move on to night 2. And night 2, I don't even want to touch on everything because, like, again, there's some matches that aren't that important. I'll go through the list. You have a this sucks. A gauntlet match I didn't even know this was happening until just now. I'm looking at the card. So you have a gauntlet match for the never openweight 6-man tag team titles, the most useless belts in New Japan. You have, let me go through this. Togi Makabe and Toru Yano and Ryusuke Taguchi taking on Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Robbie Eagles. Taking on Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, and Yujiro Takahashi. Taking on Evil Shingo and Bushi, taking on Taichi El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Who cares, Josh?
I no comment.
I think the LIJ guys will win just because I feel like that's going to be the theme of this year's show is that LIJ wins. And then you have Liger's final match. He's teaming with Naoki Sano to take on Ryu Lee, who, if you're wondering, is Dragon Lee, just going by another name, and Hiromu Takahashi. Again, this will be Liger's farewell. Well, actually, he's having a farewell on New Year's Dash, but this is his last match.
Damn.
Crazy to think about. What a career. What a storied career. I know we already talked about Liger, so we won't touch on him too much. But, farewell to a legend. Farewell to a legend. The rest of the card, we got Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo taking on Sho and Yo from Roppongi 3K for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. The Junior Tag Scene's a little bit better than the Heavyweight Tag Scene. There are tag teams in the junior division. That said, the same 2 or 3 teams do have the belts all the time.
I'm not trying to sound rude. I'm just trying to be in agreement because I can't really add too much.
I got you. You're just trying to whet my ego a little bit. Like, oh, he's talking some smart shit right now.
Sure. You could be talking complete BS to me, and I'd just be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Santa Claus is taking on Bono in a gravy boat match.
I would be fucking down for that. By the way, I would watch that. But
so would I. Go Bono.
Anyway,
you have Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Sonata, which I mentioned before. If you're looking for a show stealer of a match, that is it. Obviously, with the double gold matches and some of the other stuff, it's going to be hard to steal the show. But Sabre Jr. and Sonata are 2 of the most technically proficient wrestlers on the planet. Zack Sabre Jr. probably is the most technically proficient wrestler on the planet.
Very good. Very good.
And this is for the British Heavyweight Championship. I didn't know this had a stipulation.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that's the Rev Pro Heavyweight title.
Oh, cool.
And Sabre Jr. is the champion. Sonata's the challenger. I hope Sonata wins. I feel like he needs a title to jumpstart his year. Then you got the winner of Archer Moxley taking on Juice for the United States Championship. Very underrated storyline here is that Juice Robinson could also walk out of Wrestle Kingdom a double champion. It's not just the 4 main guys. He could be a tag champ and the U.S. champion, and frankly, I think he will be.
Damn.
Juice, the former CJ Parker, has had a pretty good 2019 after a pretty bad 2018. He beat Cody at Wrestle Kingdom 13 in a match that wasn't that great, but whatever. He had a pretty good G1. He beat Jon Moxley at the end of it after losing to Moxley on the Best of the Super Juniors final show.
Yes.
Good year for Juice. Good year for Archer. Great year for Moxley, if I'm speaking objectively. This should be fun. Should be a fun match. Juice has fun matches. He's a fun guy. Fun. I know JPQ doesn't like him.
Yeah, he doesn't.
No, he's a B+ player in JPQ's eyes. To me, he's a firm A-. Then next up, you have for the never openweight title, a match I'm looking forward to. Kenta, the champ, taking on Hiroki Goto, the challenger. Now, obviously, you know Kenta. I'm not sure how aware you are of Goto.
I'm not. I think I've heard the I'm not familiar. Let's just put it at that.
I'll just say this. These two dudes are going to beat the piss out of each other.
I'm in. Cool. Down
that is the never openweight style. It's funny. I was reading up on the belt the other day because it's like the fourth important heavyweight belt, which doesn't speak much. But I was looking at it, and originally the plan for this belt was to have it be something for the young stars, which is a good idea. But it's turned into this belt where to win it, you have to just be so stiff and just beat the piss out of your opponents. I hate to use the same phrase twice, but it's really a piss beater belt.
I'm in. You sold me.
Good. And Kent, obviously, these two guys mix it up with the best. Kenta's been champion since Royal Quest, where he beat my guy Tomohiro Ishii. It's sad that Ishii is not even a relevant factor on this card. I'm not sure how much you know of him, but he's had probably the best 2019 of any mid-carder in the world. So he's in that gauntlet match, and he's in a tag match on night one. He's really getting the short end of the stick here. Whatever. Then you have the losers match. The loser of Okada Ibushi taking on the loser of White and Naito. I think it's going to be Ibushi and White in a rematch in the G1. I think Jay White's going to win. I think Kota Ibushi leaves as the big loser somehow. It sucks because these are four world-class athletes and none of them should be losing two matches. But I think it hurts Ibushi the least to lose two. White's got such a huge career ahead of him that he needs to start winning matches. And I think Naito and Okada are primed for the main event. Now, this next match I know you're going to be excited for. Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace of New Japan for 15 some odd years, taking on Chris Jericho, the ace of the universe, in a singles match where if Tanahashi is to win, he'll receive a match for Jericho's AEW World Championship, a stipulation that I frankly did not see coming.
Well, I didn't think that New Japan and AEW would ever get to a point where they would be working together. I didn't think that was going to really... I don't know. I just didn't foresee that as a thing that was going to happen. So, I'm not mad at it because I think it benefits both of them. I mean, they're the number 2 and number 3 companies in the world. So, put them two together and you do the math. So, who knows if it leads to more stuff, but it depends. I guess it depends on the victor of this match. But, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
AEW is very hot right now, objectively speaking, definitely. Of course. But
and JPW and AEW teaming up would be. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, neither company needs it, but I friggin' want to see it. I want
to just see it just to see what happens. It's pure curiosity for me. It's no other reason than just I'm curious to see what kind of relationship they would have.
Yeah, it's intriguing. It's going to be one of the big storylines in 2020. Now, this stipulation swung me. I thought Jericho was going to win. Now I think Tanahashi wins and gets that AEW World Title match.
Tanahashi. I would suspect that he would win because there's too much intrigue in it now to not give people that. You've already stacked the deck. You can't not deliver on a Tanahashi Jericho AEW title match. Now I know back when this match was announced, I think in September,
A lot of people were like, "Oh, why are they wrestling? They're both old." I think these guys can go out
Who
and have a
fucking
match.
cares?
Exactly. First of all, both these guys still deliver at a very high level. It's not like
It's not like
they're
Jericho's
over-
out here fucking, just laying down and doing nothing. Like, Jericho, yes, Chris Jericho, in my opinion, has a very certain style, but he only does what he knows that he can do very well. That's why Jericho is 49 years old and still wrestling at the level that he does. It's not like Jericho is going out here and making people fall asleep with his matches.
And Tanahashi's very similar in the fact that he knows what he could do. He's obviously a little limited. He's 40. He's like early 40s, and he knows what he could do, and does it really well. He goes through the hits in his matches. I think when I think of a comparison for what this match could be like at its peak, and this is obviously very high praise, I think we could see like an Undertaker Triple H, Undertaker Shawn Michaels type match here, where it's not like about the wrestling, it's about the story.
Yeah, okay. I can get on board with that. Yeah, because they are very story-driven matches. Obviously, it'll be a different style. But Chris Jericho doesn't really wrestle like a certain company style. Jericho just wrestles like in a Jericho style. Obviously, he wrestled with one company for majority of his time, but since leaving WWE, Jericho has adapted his own style and kind of takes that everywhere. Like, he doesn't wrestle like a Japanese style of wrestling. He wrestles a Chris Jericho style of wrestling, if that makes any... Well, that's how I see it anyway. For someone that doesn't watch all the time, I do sense there's a different style of wrestling. And this isn't a knock. This is just, different strokes for different folks. But there is a difference in Jericho's matches than anybody else's. So, and wrestling someone like Tanahashi, who is a little bit older and does what he knows how to do, I just think this is going to be just different from anything else on the card, which is what you want. More of a mainstream style wrestling match. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. And this also has the benefit of featuring arguably the best heel in wrestling right now, Chris Jericho, versus arguably the best babyface in wrestling. No one fights from underneath like Hiroshi Tanahashi, even at this stage of his career. I got into him because during last year's G1, his story was that he was injured, and everyone thought he was over the hill and couldn't do it anymore. And he just found a way to pull out these matches that was so pleasing to the eye. He wasn't winning with power moves and feats of strength and his finisher. He's winning with cradles and roll-ups. He's become a smarter wrestler in his advanced age. And so is Jericho.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you completely. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That's what's signing my name on the dotted line for this whole... these shows, is because of that.
I figured. And then the last match of the evening... IWGP Heavyweight Champ versus IWGP Intercontinental Champ. The winner walks out of Tokyo Dome with all the gold, the double gold dash champion, as they call it. Now, we've talked enough about these four competitors. I think it's going to be Naito Okada, and I think Naito wins. I know you don't have a dog in the fight, but if I had to put you on the spot right now and say who's walking out with all the gold, who's it going to be?
It's the instant reaction. I'm just going to go with instant gut. The first thing that just kind of popped out at me, and that's Naito. So I'm in agreement. But that's just pure just gut reaction. It's just to go say that. Just, hey, sometimes the best way to be is just go with what comes natural. So I'm just going to go with that.
All right, I like that. I like where your head's at.
I'm down with it.
Yeah, good. So that's Wrestle Kingdom 14, 2 nights of high octane, high intensity action. I feel like a salesman here trying to pitch this to you. But I know you're already watching it.
I'm sold. I'm sold on the. I'm excited. It's just it's not that I'm not excited for the show. It's just more so I can't really speak too much of it because I'm a dum-dum when it comes to New Japan. So I don't want to.
You're a dum-dum.
Big dum-dum when it comes to it. So there's that. Well, we've ran down two different very ends of pro wrestling. there is a couple more things I want to talk about. First thing is, big news. I know Kevin when he's seen this would have been over the fucking moon about it because he loves Reverb Rewind. It is coming back next Friday. Next week's episode will be Reverb Rewind. We're going to get in the Royal Rumble spirit because it is my favorite time of year. We're getting on Royal Rumble. Then when it's Road to WrestleMania, it is like just the best time to be a WWE fan. So Royal Rumble, we've got Royal Rumble off the top of my head. I haven't got my phone in front of me right now, but it was Royal Rumble 2008, Royal Rumble 2000, Royal Rumble 2003, and Royal Rumble 2016. You have 4 days from the time of this release to go and vote. So then we have a couple of days to watch the show and then review it next week. I'm excited because it's going to get me in that Rumble zone. It'll be the first time I'm watching a Rumble I haven't watched a Rumble in a little while, but it's just going to get me in that Royal Rumble season because we both love the Rumble. It's fucking fun. And just to go back and watch these entire shows will be fun as well because you have been one that's been saying, I want Reverb Rewind to come back because I know you do like it.
I love Reverb Rewind. I love going back and watching the old stuff.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know what will win. At the time of this recording, the polls are very, very fucking close. So
yeah, I cast my vote. I won't say what.
Keep on voting, everybody, because more votes the better. And the next Friday we will be having the first Reverb Rewind in months and the first episode of one of our series of the year. So and it will get us in Rumble Zone. That's why I kind of did the Rumbles and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to get that done. Now, I do encourage everybody again to go to the links below if you didn't listen at the start of the show to donate if you can to any help with the bushfires. Make sure the reason I'm doing links and stuff now is because the last thing I want to talk about is something different. So, all of our links are in the description below. Make sure you keep rating this podcast 5 stars, all that good stuff. And also, the reason, I know I promised videocast would be coming back, but I broke my brand new camera, so it's on hold for now. I'm looking at getting it fixed and seeing how much money it's going to cost me. I shattered my lens, putting it into the car. I dropped it, and I was like, are you kidding me? I just spent a lot of money on that. So it will be coming back eventually, but hey, it's not like you can't still hear us, and you can still see this on YouTube anyway, so it will be coming back soon. Now that I got all of my plugs in there, the reason I'm saying that now is because if you have not watched The Rise of Skywalker, please stop this podcast right now, because for the next 5 minutes or so, this is going to be a spoiler-filled little time to talk about The Rise of Skywalker, because me and Kevin have both watched it. So, again, spoiler alert to the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, because we're going to talk about it now. So, for anyone that hasn't watched it and is stopping this podcast now, thank you very much for listening to our Wrestle Kingdom and the Lana Lashley breakdowns and all of that kind of stuff. We'll see you next week for Reverb Rewind. Now, Kevin, you've seen The Rise of Skywalker. I've seen The Rise of Skywalker. We had a very brief DM about it, and we both typed in all caps that we love this movie. Now, I had expectation going into The Rise of Skywalker because while I like The Last Jedi a lot, and I know you love The Last Jedi, there was a few things in The Last Jedi that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Only a couple things, and not to the extent that everybody else did. There's a few things that I was like, okay, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Really, in grand scheme of things, The Rise of Skywalker, honestly, if I hadn't watched The Last Jedi, I would be... It kind of, I don't want to say it completely writes off The Last Jedi, because it doesn't, but there's a lot of things in The Rise of Skywalker that, like, if you didn't watch The Last Jedi, it wouldn't matter. Did you get that sense from that movie?
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't. I will say this: I watched the movie twice. I saw it again 3 nights after the premiere.
Right.
And the more after a second watch with a more critical eye, there were some things I didn't like, and I didn't like the fact that they did retcon some of the stuff that was introduced in The Last Jedi. Namely, and again, if you haven't logged off yet and you don't want to be spoiled, please stop listening.
Spoiler alert, yeah. Don't listen to this, because the last thing me and Kevin want to do is spoil something as big as The Rise of Skywalker. We have not, obviously, we're not the kind of douchebags to write this on Twitter, which is why we're like, spoiler alert, everyone. So this is your final warning. Spoiler alert, Kevin is about to talk massive fucking spoilers from this movie. So please, if you haven't watched this movie, please just stop this podcast right now. I've never ever said don't listen to this podcast, but just don't listen to this bit. That's why we're leaving it to the end and not putting it at the start. I'm trying to be as nice about it as possible. But Kevin, spoiler away, my friend.
Okay. One of the things I loved about Last Jedi is that it reinforced the notion that like anybody could be a Jedi. I like the fact that Rey's parents came from nothing, or that Rey came from nothing. I like the fact they did the little thing at the end with the kid and the broom and the Force. And I like the notion that anyone could be a Jedi. And they sort of went back on that and made Rey a Palpatine, which I know is going to please a lot of Star Wars fans because like everyone's connected to somebody, but I didn't like that.
See, I love that. I guess that's what I love, and I was so okay. You know the scene in the movie where Kylo and Rey are both holding the ship with the Force. Rey's obviously more powerful than Kylo. When the lightning came out of her hands, I nearly shit my pants. I was like,
"Oh, that was cool."
I was like, "Wait a minute," because I didn't have any inkling of that. I stay away from like Star Wars, like theories and stuff. I try to just watch the movie just to kind of, without too much. Like I watched the trailer once. That's all. I just wanted to watch it once. So then I just kind of had a little bit of an uptake of where this movie's kind of heading. But I don't like to be like, oh, is this person like? I don't like to do that until after I've watched the movie. Then I dive right in. But so going into this, I was just like, so when that lightning came out of her hands, I was like, wait a minute, Jedi don't do that. The only person that does that is one Emperor Palpatine is the only one that does that. Like, so I was like, uh-oh. Wait a minute. And then when okay, disclaimer, I love Daisy Ridley. I think she's a phenomenal actor. I just think she's wonderful. When she screamed Chewie, like, I felt that. Because so many people had, Han had been killed, Luke was gone. Like, so many people had been... I'm just like, oh my god, not Chewie too. Like, I felt when she screamed... Because, I don't know, there was such conviction in the way that she did it. That's just me being a little bit of a mark for the way people act. I like good actors. But Daisy is phenomenal in this role. I think the whole cast is really good in this trilogy. I think they have great chemistry. Maybe more so than even the original actors. I think they work so well together. Just the whole cast, do you mean? Like, having great chemistry?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, anyway.
I think it's funny as shit, too. I think all three movies were very funny.
Yeah, there's certainly... I think that's the Disney part of it coming into it, to be completely honest with you. There was somewhat comedy elements in the prequels and in the original trilogy, but... there was certainly, it was more at not the forefront, I want to say, but there was certainly more of an element of comedy in these three. Especially from Poe and stuff like that. I love Poe. I think Poe's
great.
Fantastic. I love Finn, too. There's not really too many characters that I dislike. It's easy to say people don't like Rose and stuff like that. People hated Rose. People really didn't like... Well, a minority was very vocal about the fact that they didn't like Rose. I didn't hate Rose. I mean, to be honest, she's barely in The Rise of Skywalker. That being said, she's really not in it very much.
No, she's in it for like... I think she's in it for like 2 minutes of screen time.
Especially since in The Last Jedi, she was in it, prominently.
Prominent
role.
Like,
yeah. She was, not front and center, but you know what I mean. But anyway, so you didn't like Rey you didn't like the fact that she was a Palpatine.
I didn't like it.
And it's hard to say, because that's really the kind of base of this movie.
I know.
Is that she's a Palpatine. What is it that you don't like about it? Is it just more so the fact that you love The Last Jedi so much?
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that they went back on the last, like that JJ really just went back on The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I think J.J. Abrams is... If you watch these movies critically and watch them for the movie instead of more so the story, if you actually watch... And J.J. is better at directing than Rian Johnson, I think. I think that JJ just structures his movie. So the thing that I like Last Jedi, I thought it was pretty damn decent. But the thing that I didn't like about Last Jedi is that some scenes were so short and some scenes really dragged on. I don't sense that from Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. So that would be my only... And the only thing, the one and only thing that pissed me off in The Last Jedi, I didn't get pissed off at that movie. The only thing was Leia with the way she was in the galaxy and then kind of used the Force to get back to the ship and then all that. I hated that. I didn't like the way that was shot. I didn't like it because I just thought it was very like... That whole bit where the ship blew up and all of that was just so unnecessary to me. That was the only thing that I had a gripe with in The Last Jedi. Other than that, I liked the way Luke died. I thought it was a different way to do something. I liked all of that. So that's just me personally. But how did you feel about the inclusion of did you notice, was there a noticeable thing with Leia? Well, obviously, Carrie Fisher no longer with us, so they had to use scenes. I think they used scenes from The Force Awakens. Some kind of technology. Did you notice it? Because I personally didn't. But
it didn't stick out to me at all.
No, it fit quite naturally, I thought. But
and
then again, I've only watched it once.
Wasn't going to have a prominent role in this movie because Carrie Fisher's dead.
Yeah.
So that didn't bother me that she didn't. Like, obviously, she had that big moment where she basically saved Ben Solo.
Yeah. Who, by the way, my home dog, Ben Solo, like, I love the way that all happened. How he, like, I like the way when Rey stabbed, Kylo, or Ben Solo, however we want to call him. I guess at that stage he was still Kylo. I guess he'd be referring to himself as Kylo Ren. Where she stabbed him and then healed him. Like, I loved all that.
I like that part a lot.
I like their scenes. I think them two in particular have a really good chemistry, especially when it comes to fighting each other. They're very good at that. The only thing that was kind of weird about the movie is, like, why did they have to kiss?
Because it's Disney.
Yeah, I guess so. I knew this.
I didn't mind it though. I mean, they sort of like they have a connection. It's very blatant. They have a connection. I didn't mind them kissing. I know a lot of people had a big problem with it.
I didn't have a huge problem with it. It was literally the only thing in the movie that I can think of right now. I've only watched it once, but it's the only thing in the movie that I was like, it just felt a little bit not out of place, because it definitely felt like it was. It felt in place. There was something about it that I was kind of like, okay, but I mean that's just, I don't know. That's probably just my single ass being like, why does everyone get to kiss each other?
Exactly.
Yeah. But
even the baddest dude in the galaxy could find love, even though he died after.
Well, yeah. Also, here's something weird. Palpatine having a granddaughter, which is Rey. Does that mean he got down with someone? Who wants to get down with Palpatine?
Palpatine fucks.
Like, no thanks. I mean, you do you, dude, but someone got freaky with him. So just let's give that visual to everybody. Anyway, I did like the way that it ended. I liked the fact that, like, when they asked her, like, Rey who, she said Rey Skywalker. I thought that was really nice. And I knew this movie was going to end on a very, like, heartwarming kind of feel. And that's how this movie ended. Because it's the end of the Skywalker saga. It's the end.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings on the end of the Skywalker saga because I don't feel like I'll ever be into Star Wars as much as I was for these 9 movies. Because that's Star Wars. Skywalker and all of that is the basis of Star Wars. So, you know, Disney are going to milk this dry. Obviously, Mandalorian. There's going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus with Ewan McGregor, which I'm very fucking excited for, by the way, because he was my favorite part of the prequels. I love the prequels. I'm a big prequel mark, but I love Ewan McGregor. I think he's fantastic. Hello there. The way he just pops in. So I'm excited for that. But Disney are going to milk this dry. Like, I think... I don't know. I've seen this multiple times, but I don't think it's ever been, like, officially confirmed. But they are doing another trilogy, are they not? I
believe they are.
Is it going to be based on what's her face? Lando's, like, Janna, is that her name? the
Jenna.
girl
It could be.
like that seemed like, hey, we said like let's explore it. It seemed like they were teasing that, but I could be wrong. And it's weird to introduce such a prominent character in the last one and not really have like a finality on her character. Yeah, and like there's nothing, it's very open ended. But whether they do another trilogy or not, I don't feel like I'll still watch it and I'll still probably like it, but it's not the Skywalker saga. It's not going to have that. I mean, this trilogy, especially in Force Awakens, was based on a lot of nostalgia and a lot of clarity on the end of this story. So, I don't know. All in all, I think The Rise of Skywalker is probably my favorite Star Wars ever.
Wow.
I love The Force Awakens. I really like The Last Jedi, but I've never left the theater being like, fuck, I really love that movie. And it's reignited my love for Star Wars. Like, I've gone back and I'm watching them all now. And Phantom Menace, I love the Phantom Menace. That was my favorite, but I think that's number 2 now.
Wow.
And that was, 2 weeks ago I watched Rise of Skywalker, and I'm still thinking of that. So, I really like this movie. I loved the way it flowed. I loved 99% of it. I love Rey. I think she's just a badass character. I liked Kylo Ben. I like Finn. I like Poe. I like the way that Luke was involved and Han. Just everyone. Leia. I like Leia's role in it. I like the way Leia passed in the movie. I just kind of, there's nothing bad I can say about it. And I think universally, well, there's always going to be people that are just like, I didn't like that movie, but I've seen pretty strong positive feelings towards with a lot of it, at least I've seen throughout the internet and Twitter. I've seen a lot of people really like this movie. So
yeah, this one
Last Jedi, people were not like that.
No, this one didn't get as much love from the critics, but from the people, it got a lot of great reviews.
And I think that's what Disney were trying to do. They weren't really trying to make Star Wars movies they were making Star Wars movies for the fans.
Yeah.
I think. Which is really, at the end of the day, what makes them money. It made a lot of fucking money for them, I can tell you that. Billions and billions of dollars.
It'll continue to make money.
Oh, yeah. Like, we say, like, the next trilogy, if they do another one, we'll be like, oh, they're milking it dry, but we'll be the first ones to go fucking see it. So,
absolutely.
So, it's Star Wars related, so I loved it. But all in all, did you enjoy the movie?
Yes.
Yeah. I've enjoyed this trilogy. I don't think there's
Star Wars is a good trilogy.
I really don't like. I like every Star Wars movie, but I really have enjoyed this trilogy. It's kind of sucks, though, because I really like all of these people involved, and I'd like to see more from them, but we kind of knew that it was only going to be 3 movies. Whether Disney will probably milk it and Rey will probably be back for a spin-off, or Finn, or Poe, or someone. But, it's just, oh, okay. It's gone so quickly. Like,
I know. It really feels like just yesterday I was going to see Force Awakens.
And I was so excited for that. Man, oh man.
I cried at the beginning.
Really? Oh my god, that's amazing.
When the crawl, literally the beginning, when it popped up a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and the crawl hit and the music, I shed a tear.
There was applause in the theater that I was at. Everyone was kind of just like, yay.
Oh yeah. There was applause for all 3 of them in my theaters.
Well, the good thing about, good and bad, but when I went to go see it, I seen it like 2 days after it premiered, and it was so hot that a lot of people weren't going out. So I took my little brother and I'm like, hey, it's going to be a bit warm in the cinema, but there won't be a lot of people there. There was not a lot of people there. We had like the whole back row, and we just ate a bunch of popcorn and watched Star Wars. So I was that part. Every other time I went at midnight screening when it first thing, but I just didn't this year, and I was like, hey, it's fine. I'll watch it a couple of days after. But yeah, that will be that's where I kind of have my head with The Rise of Skywalker and just Star Wars in general. But I'm excited. Have you been watching Mandalorian?
I just started today.
Yeah. I seen you started High School Musical, the series too. That's fantastic.
Oh, I'm all caught up. It's so good.
It's so cheesy, and I just love it.
I love it. It makes
so
me
good.
feel like really good.
Yeah, it's just, I really like it. Wait till you get into that a little. Have you watched them all up? Are you up to date with them or not?
I'm up to date, yeah.
Okay, good. Because, yeah, there's just little things like, okay, so who's your favorite character in High School Musical, the series? That's a
Oh
lot.
God, it's tough. I like Carlos a lot.
I like Miss Jen. I'm a big
Miss Jen's good.
Miss
And
Jen
I love.
is-
I identify with Ricky a lot.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. No, I thought you were gonna say Ricky. To be completely honest, when I asked that question.
I mean, I like Ricky and I like Nene. I think
don't really
that
hate
I
anyone. I don't hate anybody. Oh, oh, do I?
do you hate EJ?
I kind of hate EJ, but at the same
I
time,
kind of hate
like,
EJ too. But
I
like,
kind of am like,
I think.
I'm a low key little bit like jealous of EJ. I'm just like, of course you look like that, and you can sing, and you can do all this. Like, fuck off,
Yeah.
out of here. But I think that's more of like a personal thing. But yeah, Miss Jen's my home dog. I'm a big Miss Jen fan. I like Miss Jen because she's kind of a little bit crazy, and I really kind of dig that. I'm into that.
She's got
Good
theater
stuff.
energy.
Yeah, and I really like that. And, yeah, but I like that show a lot. Mandalorian, by the way, is fantastic. All 8 episodes are out now, so when you get caught up on that, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But it is very good. But, yeah, that'll be kind of... Now we can... Well, I've already done the plugs and that, so I'm not going to plug again. But if you're still listening to this with this spoiler-filled kind of look at The Rise of Skywalker, thank you for listening to this entire episode. We do apologize for the technical difficulties, but hey, shit happens, and it really wouldn't be us if something didn't go wrong. So I'm really not fussed at all. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you're enjoying 2020. I hope all of that. And again, please look at the links below to support my wonderful country at the moment that is currently burning. It's currently on fire. So please keep the many people in your thoughts and stuff like that. And I ain't going to apologize for the amount of times I post about it on Twitter because, A, it's my Twitter. If you really don't like it, then don't follow me.
Hit the unfollow button, baby.
And 2, if anyone knows anything about me, it's I love wrestling, I love my cat, and I love my country. So I'm not going to apologize for being concerned about the fact that a lot of this country is currently on fire, which Kevin knows how much I love Australia. I do love Australia.
Yeah, very much so. And that's how it should be.
Love your country. You love the US. I love Australia. And yeah, but that will be where I end it this week. And we will see you next week for some Reverb Rewind. Peace out.